Sophie Grant stared at her tablet screen for the third time that morning. The listing had to be a mistake. Nobody sold a 1965 Ford Mustang for 600 credits. Not even a rusted shell was worth that little. She zoomed in on the photos again. The car gleamed like it had just rolled off the assembly line. Red paint caught the light without a single scratch. Chrome bumpers shined bright enough to hurt her eyes. She sat in her quarters on 442B, a mining colony 300 light years from Earth. Outside her window, purple dust storms rolled across the horizon. Alien cargo ships descended toward the landing pads. She had been stationed here for 2 years as a military engineer, and every day felt longer than the last. Home seemed like a distant dream. The Mustang listing pulled at something deep in her chest. Her grandfather had owned one just like it. Same red color, same white racing stripes. He used to take her for drives every Sunday before he died. She could still remember the rumble of the engine and the smell of old leather seats. Sophie opened the message function and typed quickly, "Is this listing real? The price seems wrong." The reply came back in under a minute. "Price is correct. Need to sell today. Cash only. Address attached." She checked the address. Henry lived on the edge of the colony where the prefab housing met the wilderness. Not the best neighborhood, but not the worst either. Sophie grabbed her jacket and scanner. Something about this felt wrong, but she had to see the car with her own eyes. The transport pod dropped her off 20 minutes later. Henry's home was a small gray box, identical to 50 others on the same street. But in the driveway sat the Mustang, more beautiful than the photos had shown. Sophie approached slowly, almost afraid to touch it. The door to the house opened. An old man stepped out. He had to be at least 70, with thin white hair and hands that shook slightly. His eyes darted from Sophie to the car and back again. "You the one who messaged?" he asked. "Yes, sir, Sophie Grant. I'm an engineer at the military base." Henry nodded but did not smile. "You got the credits." "I do, but I need to look at the car first. 600 is too cheap. What's wrong with it?" "Nothing's wrong with it." Henry walked to the Mustang and ran his hand along the hood. His fingers trembled worse than before. "Runs perfect. I just need it gone." Sophie pulled out her scanner and walked around the vehicle. The readings made her stop. Energy signatures pulsed from the engine compartment. Not the normal electromagnetic field from old spark plugs and alternators. Something else. Something that should not exist in a car from 1965. "Mister, can I look under the hood?" The old man stepped back fast. "No, you buy it as is or you leave." "Sir, my scanner is picking up quantum resonance patterns. That's impossible for a combustion engine." Henry's face went pale. He looked up and down the street like he expected someone to jump out. "You know what it is then? You know what you're buying, yes or no?" Sophie should have walked away. Every instinct she had as an engineer told her this situation was dangerous. But she looked at the Mustang again, at the perfect curves of the body, at the chrome that reminded her of Sunday drives with her grandfather, at the piece of earth sitting in this alien colony. "I'll take it." Henry practically grabbed the credit chip from her hand. He transferred the title in under 30 seconds. Then he shoved the physical key into her palm. "It's yours now. Don't come back here asking questions. I don't know anything." "Mister, wait. Where did you get this car?" But the old man had already gone inside. The door slammed shut. Sophie heard multiple locks engage. She stood alone in the driveway with the key in her hand. The Mustang waited silently. Sophie opened the driver's door. The interior looked factory fresh. Black leather seats without a crack, original dashboard with the classic 5-dial layout. But when she sat down, something felt different. The seat adjusted to her body perfectly, too perfectly, like it knew exactly how she wanted to sit. She put the key in the ignition and turned it. The engine roared to life, but instead of the rough idle of an old V8, it purred smooth as silk. The whole car hummed with barely contained power. Sophie put it in gear and pulled onto the street. The steering felt light under her hands, modern power steering light. The acceleration was instant when she pressed the gas. No lag, no hesitation, just pure response. She drove back toward the main colony, her mind racing faster than the engine. This car was not what it appeared to be. The quantum signatures, the perfect handling, the way every system responded like it was brand new. Something had been done to this Mustang, something secret. Sophie parked outside her quarters and sat for a long moment. She pulled out her tablet and searched for Henry in the colony database. His profile was thin, Arrived 6 months ago from Earth. No employment history, no family listed. Just an old man living alone on the edge of nowhere. She searched for 1965 Ford Mustangs next. The results showed classic car enthusiast pages, restoration guides, price estimates that put real ones at 50,000 credits minimum. Nothing about quantum technology or energy signatures. Sophie got out and opened the hood. She had to see what was under there. The latch released with a solid click. She lifted the hood and stared. The engine looked completely normal. Original Ford V8 block, correct air cleaner, proper valve covers, but her scanner screamed warnings. Energy readings spiked across the spectrum. She looked closer and saw it. Tiny silver lines ran through the engine block like veins. They pulsed with soft blue light. The metal itself seemed to shift slightly like it was breathing. This was not Earth technology, or rather, it was not only Earth technology. Someone had taken this classic car and transformed it into something else. Something that mixed human engineering with alien science. Sophie closed the hood carefully. She looked around to make sure nobody was watching. Then she got back in the car and locked the doors. She needed to understand what she had bought, who had modified this Mustang and why. And most importantly, why had Henry been so desperate to get rid of it? The dashboard glowed softly in the fatting light. Sophie put her hand on the steering wheel. The leather felt warm under her palm, almost alive. She had wanted a piece of home. Instead, she had found a mystery that could be bigger than anything she had ever encountered. Sophie drove the Mustang everywhere for the next 3 days. To work in the morning, to the market after her shift. Down the main boulevard where cargo ships landed, she could not help herself. The car felt too good to leave parked. The colony residents noticed. Humans stopped to stare and take pictures. Most had never seen a real classic car from Earth. The few who had grew up hearing stories from grandparents. To them, the Mustang was like a piece of living history. The alien residents reacted differently. They tilted their heads in confusion at the primitive design. They asked why humans built such inefficient machines. The collective observers watched in silence, their multifaceted eyes tracking every movement. On the 4th day, Sophie brought her friend Al to look at the car. He was built like a grasshopper standing on 2 legs. His 4 arms made him excellent at detailed mechanical work. They had met during a repair job 2 years ago and stayed friends. "This is the vehicle you mentioned," Al said. He walked around the Mustang slowly. "It appears well maintained for its age." "It's more than that. Look at the scanner readings." Sophie handed him her scanner. Al's large eyes widened as he read the display. His antenna twitched rapidly, a sign of surprise among his people. "These energy patterns should not exist in primitive combustion technology. May I examine the propulsion system?" "That's why I called you." They opened the hood together. Al leaned in close, his scanner held steady in 2 hands while the other 2 probed gently at the engine. He worked in silence for 10 minutes. Then he straightened up and looked at Sophie. "This is not only human construction. The base engine is authentic. I recognize the design from historical databases, but someone has integrated quantum resonance cores into the cylinder block. The fuel injection system contains self-repairing nanomaterial. The transmission uses phase shift technology that will not be invented for another decade." Sophie felt her stomach drop. How much would this be worth? If the modifications work as I believe they do, millions of credits, perhaps tens of millions. This represents a fusion of technologies that most engineers consider impossible. "Why impossible?" Al closed the hood carefully. "Human mechanical engineering follows different principles than quantum technology. The tolerances are wrong. The energy frequencies clash. Most attempts to combine them result in catastrophic failure. Yet this engine runs perfectly. Someone solved problems that galactic research teams have struggled with for years." Sophie leaned against the car. "I paid 600 credits for it." Then either the seller was ignorant of its value or desperate to be rid of it quickly. He was terrified, practically threw the keys at me and ran inside. Al's antenna drooped. "That suggests danger. You should report this to authorities." "And tell them what? That I bought a car that's worth millions? They'll confiscate it, say I stole it somehow." "Sophie, if someone built this vehicle illegally, they may come looking for it." She knew he was right, but the thought of losing the Mustang made her chest tight. It was more than just a car now. It was a mystery, a puzzle, and possibly proof that human engineering could compete with anything in the galaxy. That night, Sophie searched every database she could access. Colony records, historical files, military archives. She found nothing about modified classic cars, nothing about hybrid technology programs, just standard information about Earth's entry into the galactic community 50 years ago. Then she tried a different approach. She searched for Henry again, but this time she dug deeper. His arrival papers listed his previous residence as Europa Station. Sophie requested his file from Europa. The response came back marked restricted. She used her military clearance to override the restriction. The file opened. Henry had lived on Europa for 3 months before coming to 442b. Before that, he had been on Mars. Before that, Earth. Each time staying only a few months, each time using slightly different identification. Henry was running from something. Sophie kept digging. She found a reference number buried in his Europa file, just a string of letters and numbers that meant nothing by itself. But when she searched for it, she hit a classified military database. The access request sat on her screen. She should not go further. Classified files were restricted for good reason. But her finger hovered over the confirm button. She thought about the Mustang, about the quantum cores hidden inside a classic engine, about Henry's fear. She pressed confirm. The file opened. Sophie read quickly, her heart pounding. Project Heritage Protocol, established 30 years ago. Purpose: integrate captured alien technology with human mechanical systems. Create hybrid vehicles and machines that combine the best of both approaches. Prove that human innovation could match any species in the galaxy. The project had run for 5 years. Teams of engineers built dozens of prototypes. Cars, trucks, aircraft, industrial equipment. Each one merged human design with alien advancements. The results exceeded all expectations. Then the Galactic Council found out. They demanded Earth shut down the program immediately, called it technology theft, said humanity was advancing too quickly, threatened economic sanctions and travel restrictions. Earth's government had no choice. They terminated Project Heritage Protocol and ordered all prototypes destroyed. But according to the file, not all prototypes were destroyed. Some engineers refused to scrap their work. They hid the vehicles across human colonies, scattered them to remote locations, hoped that someday the galaxy would be ready for what they had created. The Mustang was one of those hidden prototypes. Sophie sat back in her chair. Everything made sense now. Henry was one of the original engineers, or someone who knew them. He had been moving from colony to colony, staying ahead of whoever was hunting for the remaining Heritage Protocol vehicles. A message alert broke her concentration. Unknown sender, encrypted format. Sophie almost deleted it. Then she saw the subject line, "You found the truth." She opened the message. Text only, no signature. "You know what you have now, others know too. They are coming. The collective wants the technology. The council wants it destroyed. You must decide what matters more, the car or the principle it represents. Humanity's right to innovate cannot be suppressed forever. Choose wisely." The message deleted itself 10 seconds later. Sophie's hands shook. She walked to the window and looked out at the Mustang parked below. Light from the colony's artificial sun glinted off the red paint. It looked so normal, so simple, just an old car from a planet far away. But it was so much more than that. It was proof that humans could take what they learned and make it better. That Earth's engineers could compete with species who had been traveling the stars for thousands of years. That humanity deserved a place at the table of galactic innovation. Someone knocked on her door. Sophie jumped. She checked the security camera. Al stood outside, all 4 arms carrying equipment cases. She opened the door. "What's all this?" "Defense systems. If what you discovered is true, you will need protection. I am installing sensors around your quarters and the vehicle storage area. Anyone approaching will trigger alerts." "Al, you don't have to do this. This isn't your problem." Her friend set down the cases. "You are incorrect. Suppressing innovation is everyone's problem. My people spent 2,000 years in technological stagnation because our council feared change. We learned nothing new, built nothing original. When we finally met other species, we were so far behind that we became servants instead of equals." "I didn't know that." "Most do not. We hide our shame. But I see in this vehicle what my people could have been. What they could still become if they had courage. You have that courage, Sophie. You looked at this mystery and did not run. You searched for truth that is worth protecting. Sophie felt tears in her eyes. She blinked them away quickly. Thank you. They worked together through the night, installing sensors and cameras. By morning, her quarters and parking area had better security than most military facilities. Al left at dawn, promising to return if she needed anything. Sophie sat in the Mustang as the sun rose. The leather seats felt warm. The engine hummed quietly. Through the windshield, she watched the colony wake up. Aliens and humans heading to work, ships landing and taking off, life continuing like normal. But nothing was normal anymore. Sophie had a choice to make: hide the car and hope nobody found it, or stand up and fight for what it represented, for humanity's right to learn and grow and build without limits. She started the engine. The V8 roared, quantum cores pulsed with blue light, two technologies that should not work together, functioning in perfect harmony. The collective operative arrived 3 days later. Sophie was eating lunch in the military cafeteria when the alert came through on her tablet. Security, Checkpoint Delta reported a collective intelligence agent requesting entry to the colony. Destination: Sophie Grant, Military Housing Section. She left her food and ran. The Mustang sat in her protected parking area, surrounded by Al's sensors. She had 15 minutes before the operative reached her quarters. Not enough time to hide the car, not enough time to do anything except face what was coming. The operative arrived in a black transport pod. He stepped out wearing the standard gray uniform of collective intelligence, tall and thin, with pale blue skin and too many joints in his arms. His species name was Al. Humans called them the bureaucrats because they loved rules and regulations above all else. Sophie Grant, he said. His voice sounded like gravel in a blender. I am assigned to Technology Theft Division. I have questions about your recent vehicle purchase. It's not stolen. I have the legal title transfer. Pulled out a tablet. The vehicle in question is registered as a 1965 Ford Mustang, correct? Yes. My scans indicate it contains technology restricted under Galactic Treaty 7, Section 12, Paragraph 43. Specifically, quantum resonance cores and phase shift transmission systems. These items are classified as advanced technology and cannot be possessed by individuals without proper authorization. Sophie crossed her arms. The car is human-made, built on Earth. Impossible. Earth did not possess quantum technology in 1965. The vehicle has been illegally modified with stolen collective property. I am authorized to confiscate it immediately. Show me proof it's collective property. Scrolled through his tablet. He turned the screen towards Sophie. Legal documents filled the display. Ownership claims, technology patents, court rulings, all of it looked official and legitimate. These documents establish collective ownership of all quantum resonance technology utilized in personal transportation. Your vehicle violates this ownership. You will surrender it now or face criminal charges. No. His eyes narrowed. You refuse a legal order. I refuse an illegal seizure. That car was purchased legally. The technology inside was developed by humans using knowledge freely available in galactic databases. You can't claim ownership of ideas. We claim ownership of implementation. The specific configuration of quantum cores requires our proprietary methods you do not have authorization to use. Sophie felt heat rising in her chest. Your people didn't invent quantum technology. You learned it from the 300 years ago. They learned it from the ancients before them. Knowledge passes from species to species. That's how civilization works. Incorrect. Knowledge is controlled and distributed according to Galactic Council regulations. Unauthorized advancement violates treaty agreements. Earth signed these treaties when joining the galactic community. Earth signed them because we had no choice. Join or stay isolated, accept limits on our technology or be left behind. That's not agreement, that's coercion. Put away his tablet. Your opinion on galactic law is irrelevant. The vehicle will be confiscated. If you resist, colony security will enforce compliance. He turned toward the parking area. Sophie stepped in front of him. You're not touching that car. Move aside or be arrested. Try it. They stared at each other. His hand moved toward his communication device. Then Al appeared from behind the quarters building. His forearms carried scanning equipment. Of the collective intelligence, Al said formally. I am Al, registered engineer with the Colony Technical Authority. I have examined the vehicle in question. My analysis shows the quantum cores are of human manufacture, not collective origin. Turn to face him. Do not involve themselves in collective business. I involve myself in truth. The resonance frequency of these cores differs from collective standards. The phase shift mechanism uses principles published in open journals 20 years ago. Nothing in that vehicle is proprietary technology. Your analysis is worthless. I have legal authority here. Then use it through proper channels. File a claim with the colony court. Present your evidence. Let a judge decide ownership. But you cannot seize property without legal process. Looked between them. His jaw moved like he was chewing something bitter. This matter is not finished. I will return with proper enforcement authority. He walked back to his transport pod and left. Sophie let out a breath she did not know she was holding. Thank you, she said to Al. He will return as promised, likely with more agents. We have bought time, nothing more. That night, Sophie could not sleep. She lay in bed thinking about threats, about the collective's claim on technology, about how one car had become the center of something much bigger. At 2 in the morning, her security system alerted. Movement in the parking area, multiple figures. Sophie grabbed her scanner and ran outside. 3 shapes moved around the Mustang. One was, the other 2 wore dark clothes without identification. They had tools and were trying to remove the hood. Sophie shouted and sprinted toward them. Get away from my car. Straightened up. This is official business. Leave immediately. Official business doesn't happen at 2 in the morning with people in masks. We are authorized to secure dangerous technology by any means necessary. Sophie pulled out her comm device. Then you won't mind if I call colony security. One of the masked figures moved fast, too fast for human. He grabbed for her comm device. Sophie ducked and swung her scanner. It connected with his head. He stumbled back. Then the Mustang's engine roared to life. Nobody was in the driver's seat. The car started itself. Lights blazed on all around it. The horn blared. The engine revved so loud it shook the ground. Security sensors screamed warnings. And his companions jumped back. The hood popped open. Light poured from the engine bay, blue and white and colors that did not have names. The quantum cores spun faster, creating a harmonic frequency that made Sophie's teeth hurt. What is happening? Shouted. Defense system, Sophie said. She had no idea if that was true, but the car was protecting itself or protecting her. Doors opened in the nearby buildings. People came out to see what the noise was about. Humans and aliens both, all staring at the Mustang blazing like a small star in the parking area. Colony security arrived in under 2 minutes. 4 officers surrounded the scene. The lead officer, a human woman named Martinez, looked at. Explain this situation. Official collective business. These people are interfering. Official business requires notification to colony security. I received no notification. The matter is time-sensitive. Then you should have us faster. Everyone step away from the vehicle. Started to argue. Martinez cut him off with a raised hand. I don't care about your authority off this colony. Here you follow our rules. Breaking and entering is illegal. Attempted theft is illegal. You have 10 seconds to leave before I arrest all 3 of you. His face turned darker blue. The collective will file an official complaint. File whatever you want. Leave now. They left. The Mustang's engine quieted. The lights dimmed. Within a minute, everything was back to normal except for Sophie's racing heart. Martinez walked over to her. You want to tell me what that was really about? Sophie looked at the car. They want to take it from me. Why? Because it proves humans can build things that scare them, that we can learn and adapt and create without permission, and they can't allow that. Martinez followed her gaze. That's just a car. No, it's not. The officer was quiet for a moment, then she nodded slowly. I'll increase patrols in this area, but Sophie, if the collective wants something badly enough, they'll find a way to get it. Watch your back. After everyone left, Sophie sat in the Mustang. Her hands gripped the steering wheel. The leather felt warm under her palms. She thought about the car starting itself, about the defense system she did not know existed, about how much she still did not understand. An encrypted message came through on her comm device. Same format as before. same anonymous sender. You stood your ground, good, but this is only the beginning. The collective will not stop. Neither will others who fear what you represent. You need allies. You need to make this public. Hide and they will find you eventually. Stand in the light and they cannot make you disappear. The choice is yours. Make it soon. Sophie read the message 3 times before it deleted itself. Stand in the light. Make it public. Turn one car into a symbol that everyone could see. It was risky, dangerous, possibly stupid, but hiding had not worked. Running had not worked for Henry. The only option left was to face the problem directly. Sophie started planning. In 3 days, the colony would host its annual technology exhibition. Engineers and scientists from across the sector would attend. Media coverage would be extensive. It was the perfect place to reveal the truth about the Mustang, about Project Heritage Protocol, about humanity's right to innovate. She opened her comm device and started making calls. Al agreed to help immediately. Other friends followed. Human engineers who were tired of working within limits set by species who feared competition. Alien scientists who believed knowledge should be shared, not hoarded. By morning, Sophie had a plan, a presentation, a demonstration that would show the galaxy what humans could do when given the chance. The technology exhibition occupied the colony's largest dome. Hundreds of displays filled the space. Companies showed their products. Research teams presented their discoveries. Engineers demonstrated prototype systems. The crowd mixed species from across the sector, all interested in advancement and innovation. Sophie drove the Mustang straight through the main entrance. Security tried to stop her. She showed them her exhibition permit and kept driving. The crowd parted as the red classic car rolled down the center aisle. Cameras flashed. People pointed and whispered. By the time she reached the central stage area, half the dome was watching. She parked the Mustang in the middle of the demonstration space. Al and 5 other engineers stood ready with their equipment. Large display screens surrounded the area. Everything was set up exactly as planned. The exhibition coordinator rushed over. His name was a nervous human who handled logistics. Miss Grant, you cannot park a vehicle here. This space is for technical demonstrations. This is a technical demonstration. I have a permit. For a presentation booth, not a car show. Sophie smiled. Wait 5 minutes, then decide if you want me to leave. She climbed onto the Mustang's hood. The metal was warm under her feet. She pulled out her wireless microphone and switched it on. Her voice boomed through the dome speaker system. Can I have everyone's attention, please? My name is Sophie Grant. I'm a military engineer stationed here on 442B. 3 weeks ago, I bought this 1965 Ford Mustang for 600 credits. Today, I'm going to show you why that purchase might be the most important transaction in modern galactic history. The crowd pressed closer, cameras focused on her. Media drones flew overhead. Sophie took a deep breath and continued. This car represents something the Galactic Council does not want you to know about. 30 years ago, Earth scientists created Project Heritage Protocol. Their goal was simple: take human mechanical engineering and combine it with advanced alien technology. Create hybrid systems that merged the best of both approaches. Show the galaxy that humanity could innovate at the highest levels. Murmurs ran through the crowd. Sophie saw collective observers moving closer. Security personnel speaking into communicators. She had their attention now. The project succeeded beyond all expectations. Engineers built dozens of prototypes, vehicles, machinery, systems that worked better than anything created by a single species alone. But then the Galactic Council found out. They demanded Earth shut down the program. They said humanity was advancing too quickly, that we were violating technology sharing agreements, that we needed to slow down and follow the rules. Sophie pointed at the Mustang beneath her feet. This car is one of those prototypes. A 1965 Ford Mustang frame with quantum resonance cores, self-repairing nanomaterials, and phase-shift transmission. Classic human design enhanced with modern technology. It runs perfectly. It has run perfectly for 30 years. It proves that human innovation can compete with any species in this galaxy. She nodded to Al. He activated the display screens. Technical specifications appeared, detailed scans of the engine, performance data, comparison charts showing the Mustang's capabilities against modern galactic vehicles. These scans show the truth. Human engineers solved problems that galactic research teams called impossible. They merged incompatible technologies. They created something new, something better, and for that achievement they were shut down and forced to destroy their work. A voice called from the crowd. If the project was shut down, why do you have that vehicle? Because some engineers refused to destroy what they built. They hid the prototypes, scattered them across human colonies, hoped that someday the truth could be revealed. That day is today. Another voice. The collective claims that car contains stolen technology. Sophie looked directly at who stood at the edge of the crowd. The collective is wrong. Every component in this vehicle was built by human hands using principles available in open databases. We did not steal anything. We learned. We adapted. We improved. That is not theft. That is innovation. The dome fell silent. Sophie felt hundreds of eyes watching her, waiting to see what happened next. She jumped down from the hood and opened the driver's door. I'm going to demonstrate what this car can do. Al, start the scanners. She got in and started the engine. The V8 roared. Blue light glowed from under the hood. The display screens showed real-time data as she revved the engine. Energy efficiency ratings that matched the best modern vehicles. Acceleration curves that exceeded them, all from a design that was centuries old at its core. Sophie drove the Mustang in a slow circle around the demonstration area. The handling was perfect, the response instant. She accelerated hard, then stopped on a single credit piece. The crowd gasped. Modern vehicles with computer control could not react that fast. She parked back in the center and shut off the engine. The sudden silence felt heavy. Sophie got out and faced the crowd. This is what humans can do when we are allowed to innovate freely, when we are not held back by rules designed to keep us in our place, when we are given the same access to knowledge that other species enjoy. We can build, we can create, we can advance. A stepped forward from the crowd. He was ancient with gray scales and clouded eyes. His name badge read or Galactic Council representative. When he spoke, his voice carried authority. Miss Grant, you make bold claims, but you do not understand why Project Heritage Protocol was terminated. Then explain it to me, explain to everyone here. Or moved slowly toward the Mustang. His clawed feet clicked on the floor. The project was shut down because humanity was improving upon technology they learned. Not copying, not stealing, improving. Your engineers took our quantum cores and made them more efficient, took our phase shift systems and made them more stable. In 5 years, you advanced what took other species centuries to develop. That is a reason to shut us down. It is a reason to fear you. Humanity is young, so very young. You have been in space for only 50 years, yet already you push boundaries that ancient civilizations respect. You do not accept limits. You do not follow established paths. You take what you learn and make it better, always better. Do you understand how terrifying that is to species who have remained static for thousands of years? Sophie felt cold. You are afraid of us. Yes, the Council is afraid. Not of human violence or aggression. We are afraid of human curiosity, of your refusal to accept that something cannot be done. You look at our greatest achievements and ask how they can be improved. You treat our ancient knowledge as a starting point, not an end point, and you advance so quickly that we cannot keep pace. The crowd was silent, every camera focused on or in Sophie. The moment felt huge, important, like history being made in real time. So you hold us back, Sophie said. You limit our access to knowledge. You threaten sanctions if we advance too fast. You make us small so you can stay large. We maintain balance. We ensure stability. The galaxy has been at peace for 3,000 years because the Council controls technological advancement, because we prevent arms races and dangerous research, because we set limits that all species must respect, even if those limits are unjust. Or stared at her. His ancient eyes showed something that might have been sadness. Justice is not always compatible with safety. Before Sophie could respond, alarms blared. The dome's entrance doors slammed open. A collective strike team rushed in, 12 agents in full tactical gear. Led them, his face dark with anger. Sophie Grant, you are under arrest for possession of stolen technology and violation of Galactic Treaty 7. The vehicle will be confiscated immediately. Security personnel moved to intercept them. The crowd scattered. Sophie stood frozen. This was not supposed to happen. The demonstration was supposed to protect her. Public exposure was supposed to make her safe. Approached the Mustang with a device that looked like a weapon. Everyone stand back. This technology is dangerous and will be neutralized. No, Sophie moved between him and the car. You have no authority here. I have council authorization, signed by 5 members. The threat you represent has been deemed severe enough to bypass local jurisdiction. Al stepped beside Sophie, then other engineers joined her. Humans and aliens both, 20 people forming a line between the collective team and the Mustang. You will not take this vehicle, Al said. It represents a principle more important than any treaty. Move or be arrested. Then arrest us all. More people joined the line, 50 now, then 100, engineers and scientists who had watched Sophie's demonstration, who understood what was at stake, who were tired of seeing innovation crushed in the name of stability. Raised his device, the crowd pressed closer. Sophie saw humans and aliens standing together, protecting not just a car but an idea, the right to learn, the right to grow, the right to become something more than what others allowed. The standoff stretched. Nobody moved. Nobody backed down. The entire exhibition hall held its breath, waiting to see what would break first. The silence stretched for 30 seconds. Then someone in the back of the crowd started clapping, slow at first. Then others joined. The applause grew until it filled the dome. Not just humans, aliens too, species from across the sector showing their support. Looked confused, his device lowered slightly. What are you doing? This is a security operation. An elderly woman pushed through the crowd. She walked with a cane, but her voice was strong. I am Ara, Chief Engineer of the Colony Technical Institute. I was present for Miss Grant's demonstration. Her claims are supported by evidence. Her vehicle contains no stolen technology. The Council has ruled otherwise, said. Then the Council is wrong. I have reviewed the technical specifications. Every component can be traced to open-source research. The innovation lies not in the parts but in their integration. That cannot be stolen because nobody else achieved it first. Another voice called out. My name is Dr. Hayes, human. I teach engineering at Earth's Mars Institute. I knew the scientists who worked on Project Heritage Protocol. They were not thieves. They were visionaries who believed humanity deserved a place among the great innovators of the galaxy. More people spoke up. Engineers, scientists, teachers, all telling their stories, all supporting Sophie's position. The crowd had become a movement. One woman in a car had sparked something that went beyond technology or treaties. Or raised his hand. The crowd quieted. This has escalated beyond my authority to resolve. I am requesting an emergency session of the Galactic Council. All parties will remain in place until a decision is reached. Looked furious. That could take days. Then we wait. No one touches the vehicle. No arrests are made. We allow the democratic process to function. The collective team, they did not leave the dome but took positions around the exits, waiting, watching. The crowd began to disperse, though many people stayed near the Mustang. Some sat on the floor, others brought food and water. It felt like a vigil, a peaceful protest. Sophie sat on the hood of her car. Al brought her a sandwich. She ate without tasting it. You started something today, he said. I just wanted to keep my car. It is never just about one thing. The car is a symbol now. Every species that feels held back by the Council's rules is watching this situation. You gave them hope. Sophie looked around the dome, at the faces of different species, different worlds, different perspectives, all focused on one point of agreement, the need for change. News of the standoff spread across the sector. Media coverage went galactic within hours. Debates erupted on every channel. Some supported Sophie, others called her a threat to stability, but everyone was talking. The conversation the Council had tried to suppress for 30 years was finally happening in public. Messages flooded Sophie's comm device. Support from human colonies, encouragement from alien scientists, threats from conservative factions. One message stood out, the anonymous sender who had warned her before. You did what we hoped, stood in the light, forced the galaxy to see what we created. Now comes the hard part. The Council will try to compromise. They will offer you protection if you stay quiet. Money if you surrender the vehicle. Do not accept. The principle is worth more than personal safety. We are with you, all of us who hid the prototypes, all of us who refused to let innovation die. Stand strong. 3 days passed. The dome became a temporary community. People brought supplies, set up sleeping areas, organized shifts to guard the Mustang. It was part protest, part celebration. The atmosphere felt electric with possibility. On the 4th day, Or returned with a projection device. He set it up facing the Mustang. 5 holographic figures appeared, council members from species Sophie barely recognized, ancient beings who held power over galactic civilization. The center figure spoke. Her species was like Or, but smaller and covered in golden scales. I am Council Prime Aura. We have reviewed the situation regarding Sophie Grant and the vehicle known as Project Heritage Protocol Unit 7. Sophie stood. Her legs felt weak, but her voice was steady. Thank you for your consideration. Do not thank us yet. This matter is complicated. Project Heritage Protocol was terminated under specific agreements with Earth's government. Those agreements remain in force. Agreements made under threat of sanctions. That is coercion, not consent. Aura was quiet for a moment. You are correct. Earth joined the galactic community from a position of weakness. We offered access to knowledge and trade in exchange for limits on technological advancement. Earth accepted these terms because the alternative was isolation. But you are also correct that such acceptance was not freely given. Hope flared in Sophie's chest. Then you will change the rules. The Council has debated for 3 days. Opinion is divided. Some members want to maintain current restrictions. They fear rapid human advancement. Others argue that suppressing innovation damages everyone, that knowledge should flow freely among all species who can use it responsibly. And which side won? Aura's hologram flickered. Neither. We have reached a compromise, one that we believe serves all parties. Sophie felt her hope dim. Compromises usually meant everyone lost something. The Council acknowledges that Project Heritage Protocol vehicles were created using legally obtained knowledge. Therefore, they are not stolen property and cannot be confiscated. You may keep your vehicle. Relief washed through Sophie. Then she heard the word she was waiting for. However, we maintain that unrestricted technological advancement poses risks to galactic stability. Therefore, Earth must continue to follow established protocols for introducing new technologies. Heritage Protocol vehicles may be kept by current owners, but cannot be mass-produced or widely distributed. That changes nothing, Sophie said. You are still limiting human innovation. We are requiring it be managed responsibly, but we are also making a significant concession. Earth will be granted Level 2 status in the Galactic Technology Consortium. This gives human scientists access to restricted research databases and allows them to participate in advanced development projects. It is a privilege only 15 species currently enjoy. Al whispered to Sophie, that is significant. Level 2 status would accelerate human advancement by decades. At what cost? Sophie asked the Council. The cost is patience. You may innovate, but within frameworks that ensure safety. You may advance, but not at a pace that destabilizes the established order. In exchange, we provide access to knowledge that would otherwise take centuries to develop independently. Sophie looked at the Mustang, at the crowd of people who had stood with her, at or who watched with his ancient eyes. This was the choice. Accept gradual progress under Council supervision, or reject the compromise and fight for complete freedom. How long, she asked. How long for what? How long until humanity is no longer restricted, until we can innovate without permission, until we are truly equal members of the galactic community? Aura's hologram showed something that might have been sadness. That depends entirely on humanity. Show us you can advance responsibly. Prove that human innovation strengthens the galaxy rather than destabilizing it. Earn trust through actions. There is no timeline because there is no simple measure of worthiness. You want us to prove we are safe, but you designed a system that keeps us small. How do we show what we can do when you limit what we are allowed to attempt? That is the challenge every young species faces. The difference is that we are now giving you more opportunity than we have given any species in 500 years. What you do with that opportunity will determine your future. The holograms flickered. The Council members were waiting for her answer. Sophie felt the weight of it. Except in humanity got access to restricted knowledge. Better technology, faster advancement, but still controlled, still supervised, still not fully free. Rejected, and they went back to the old restrictions. Maybe worse. The Council could punish Earth for this challenge to their authority. She thought about her grandfather, about Sunday drives in his Mustang, about the smell of engine oil and the feel of worn leather seats, about simple machines built by human hands that worked because humans refused to accept that something could not be done. I accept the council's compromise, Sophie said, on one condition. You are not in a position to make demands. I am not demanding, I am requesting. Let me keep the Mustang, let me drive it. Let me show young engineers what humans can build when we do not accept limits. Not as a museum piece, not as a secret. As a reminder that innovation comes from people who refuse to believe something is impossible. Ara considered. That was already part of the agreement. You may keep the vehicle. I want more than that. I want permission to teach about Project Heritage Protocol, to tell the story of what those engineers accomplished, to inspire the next generation of human innovators who will use your Level 2 access to create things that amaze the galaxy. You want to turn your car into propaganda. I want to turn it into hope. There is a difference. The council members conferred privately, their holograms muted for 2 minutes. When they returned, Ara spoke. Your request is granted. Project Heritage Protocol will be. The full history will be made available to all species. Perhaps others can learn from what human engineers achieved, and perhaps humans can learn from why we were afraid. The holograms vanished. The projection device powered down or looked at Sophie. You won more than you realize. The Council has not a major project in 300 years. You forced us to admit we were wrong. That is a victory for every species that has felt constrained by our rules. Sophie nodded, but she did not feel victorious. She felt tired and uncertain about whether she had made the right choice. Over the following weeks, everything changed. Earth scientists gained access to Level 2 databases. Research projects that had stalled for years suddenly leaped forward. Human engineering teams joined galactic development consortiums. Progress happened faster than anyone expected. But it happened within limits, under supervision, with approval required for major innovations. The cage was bigger now, more comfortable, but still a cage. Sophie drove the Mustang every day. She gave tour to school groups, taught classes at the Technical Institute, told the story of Project Heritage Protocol and the engineers who refused to let their work die. Young people looked at the car with wonder. Some touched the hood like it was sacred. One message came through her comm device 6 months after the council's decision. The anonymous sender who had guided her. I am Henry. I gave you the car because I saw strength in you, the strength to stand when others would run. You did what we hoped. Made the world see what we created, made them acknowledge what humans can achieve. The fight is not over. It will never be over as long as someone tries to limit human potential. But you won a battle. You gave young engineers hope. You showed the galaxy that humans do not accept cages, no matter how comfortable. Thank you. Sophie read the message 3 times. Then she walked outside to where the Mustang waited. The red paint gleamed in the artificial sun. Chrome bumpers reflected the world around it. A perfect blend of human tradition and galactic innovation. A symbol of what was possible when someone refused to believe something could not be done. She got in and started the engine. The V8 roared, quantum cores pulsed with blue light. 2 technologies that should not work together, functioning in perfect harmony, like humanity itself, ancient and modern, traditional and innovative, limited but never stopped. Sophie drove through the colony streets. People waved as she passed. Some took pictures. Children ran alongside for a few meters before falling behind. The car that she had bought for 600 credits had become something more. A reminder that progress was not given. It was taken by people brave enough to stand up and demand it. The fight would continue. The restrictions would be challenged. Human engineers would keep pushing boundaries because that was what humans did. And someday, maybe not in Sophie's lifetime, but someday, humanity would be truly free to innovate without limits. Until then, she had the Mustang. She had the memory of engineers who refused to quit. She had young people looking at her car with dreams in their eyes. And she had the knowledge that sometimes one person standing up for what was right could change everything. The engine purred as she drove toward the horizon. The car was ready. The driver was ready. And the future, limited though it might be, waited with infinite possibilities. Sophie looked at the old watched everything with unreadable eyes. In his expression, she saw the weight of decisions made long ago. Rules created to maintain order. Limits imposed to preserve peace. All of it crashing against one human woman and a car that represented change. The galaxy had reached a moment of choice, and nobody knew which way it would fall. The Mustang sat quietly in the parking area, waiting for its moment to shine. Sophie smiled. The galaxy was about to learn what humans could do when someone tried to hold them back. Tomorrow she would start looking for answers. Tonight she would sit in this beautiful car and remember her grandfather, remember Earth, remember what it felt like to be human among the stars. The engine idled perfectly, waiting, ready for whatever came next.